All right, so Year of the Wolf was Festival of Legends, Titans, and Showdown in the Badlands. Before we even get to these three expansions, we first have to talk about the last three expansions, which is Sunken City, Castle Nathria, and March of the Lich King. I'm going to be fully transparent here, guys. This was a very good year of Hearthstone. In hindsight, the more I think back on this year, I think it was pretty great. Of course, just like every other Hearthstone expansion in year, there are moments where it's just not as optimal just due to balance or the popular decks. But if we look at the mechanics, the theme, the flavor, this was a pretty great year of Hearthstone, which means the Year of the Wolf had to come into this year and kind of match the powerfulness of cards, but also like the flavor, also like brand new classes added to the game in the third expansion rather than the first, which is very interesting. I would have done it a little bit differently, me personally, but it's completely fine. Also, this is the mark of the rotation of the Year of the Griffin, which, as many of you guys know, is my least favorite year of all time, especially just due to this expansion. Because of this Year of the Wolf had a pretty high bar to fill. And we started off with Festival of Legends. Before I even get into Festival of Legends, I need to discuss something with you guys, which is, I think the first expansion of the year has to be the most impactful and exciting, because if it's not the most impactful and exciting, it usually ruins the year a little bit. Because the first expansion of the year is when rotation hits. And that means that a lot of people, they'll come in, they'll try out Hearthstone for the first time in a while because they know that rotation is going to be the easiest time to get back into the game. And if the first expansion of the year doesn't really get people excited, it kind of scuffs the year up. I want to put it like that. And I'll give you a really good example. Last year, we had Voyage into the Sunken City. I would argue this was the best expansion to have to start off because the flavor was really good. They introduced a really good mechanic with Dredge. Colossals were a huge success. I just think for a first expansion of the year, this one was great. You know, it was not a good expansion of the year. And again, I'm going to talk about the Year of the Griffin here. Was Forge of the Barons, because unless you had nostalgia for Barons, this was a pretty whatever set to start off. And both of these expansions, unironically, kind of set the tone for the rest of the year, right? It's interesting to think about how Forge of the Barons was meh, at least in my opinion. And then Voyage of the Sunken City was pretty great. And then throughout the year, it followed suit with the first expansion of the year. Festival of Legends, I feel like should have not been the first expansion of the year. Here's the problem with Festival of Legends. It came into this expansion, or this standard rotation, at a pretty mad level. Not to say that the expansion was bad, but the power level of the expansion was not to par with last year. Voyage of the Sunken City and Castle Nathria are two really good expansions. In hindsight, especially Castle Nathria is absolutely bonkers. Some of the cards in this expansion, so nuts. But March of the Lich King was good after they like buffed a lot of the Death Knight stuff. But for the most part, like, this was a pretty high bar. Festival of Legends did not reach that bar at all in terms of power level. But I'm not going to just base an expansion only on its power level, because that's not a great way to do this. Because the expansion in itself was like probably like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 6 out of 10. It depends how you feel about the overall flavor of like the festival aspect. I don't know about you guys. I'm sure a lot of you though probably didn't think that a festival was like a Hearthstone expansion. Because if you go back through like Hearthstone's history, right, it's really weird. Because it's like what other expansion? Maybe One Night in Karazhan is where you get it. Right? Maybe it's like the closest thing, but it kind of feels like it's out of left field. If you take a step back and realize who made this expansion, like who's the lead designer, it's Leo. Leo is a huge music guy. So if he got the opportunity to make a Hearthstone expansion, he went to Festival of Legends. Probably for most people, it felt pretty weird. Now, that being said, I think the flavor in this expansion is pretty great. He did a pretty good job, man. I like the fact that like every class got its own genre of music. And I like how it felt that every class was really unique in terms of what they wanted to do. Like, we'll get to the cards later, the design, but I think Warlock did a pretty good job. Warlock had a really good set for this expansion. It was cool. But I also want to say that when it comes to all the expansions this year, I think this was the best one in terms of flavor, just because I feel like the keywords they added and the spells and the minions really fit the vibe of a festival, because it's a pretty vague thing to do. Like, there's so many things that can happen in a festival. We didn't get like LSD minions or anything like that, because obviously this is a children's game. but you guys get the point. Finale is a really good flavored mechanic for, or keyword for, Festival of Legends. It fits the vibe of like a finale of a show. It was also, I think personally, I think it's a pretty good mechanic. I like the fact that finale was like a little mini game inside your Hearthstone game. And I think that's like what makes the best keywords and the most enjoyable, is like when there's a little bit of an aspect in it, because finale is not like quick draw, which we'll get to later. Finale is like, you could kind of plan your turn to try to min max the finale mechanic. And if you can, there's usually a huge benefit of it. And there's a lot of cards. The one that pops in my mind right now, which we'll get to later, is like what is that, Boogie Down for Paladin? Like that's a really good example of like a finale thing, because the taunt on the minions really, really matters. They also introduced Overheal. Overheal is, I think, a really good mechanic for Priest as well. The fact that Priest never really had a, I want to call it their own class keyword, because yeah, they're like the healing class and the removal class and Priest, but they never had like a combo or like an outcast. And I think Overheal is like a really good way of adding that additional element to Priest. They could have gone with the Shadow version, but I feel like Overheal is a mechanic and a keyword that they can kind of build around for future sets. So this one, I think they did a pretty good job with Overheal. They also introduced like Heartbreaker Adonis, which I think is like a pretty good legendary for this keyword. And they've continued to do, I think they've done more Overheal stuff. We'll have to check that after. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think for like the keywords they introduced, I think they did a pretty good job. I think they absolutely killed it. Otter, thank you so much for the Prime, dude. Watch a lot of your YouTube lately. Just wanted to show you my support. Thanks, man. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. Okay, now we move on to the legendary musicians and songs. This one's weird because it's really hit and miss. Again, I really like the aspect of like each class got their own identity for music and how they want to sing their song. Especially like the flavor of the Necrotic Explosion for Death Knight. But bro, like the balance here is it's so all over the place. It's all over the place. Like, you know what I mean? There's this moment where it's like, it could be really cool in theory, but then you get these, you play them in practice and you're like, I gotta actually, let me quickly go through this real fast and see which ones are actually playable. Cause I can't remember which ones are actually like good. And that's not a great way of like doing this. Okay. So we're talking about purely from class perspective. Death Knight got Cagehead and Climatic Necrotic Explosion. Both of these kind of sucked ass. I don't think either one of these would be considered good. Like they're playable, but they're not good. Demon Hunter got, okay, she was nuts. Let's be real here. She was very good. Kind of forgot about her. Did she end up getting nerfed? No, maybe like the Rush deck just got nerfed. This deck was actually pretty fun. One of the best Demon Hunter decks in a hot minute, but this card was good. This card got buffed because it was weak, but now it sees somewhat play. What did Druid get? Zog saw play. It's funny. It's always the Druid problem, bro. Druid always gets insane cards, or they get like a card like this. Oh man, that's rough. Anyways, you get the point. We can go through all of them, but like they're really hit and miss. Some of them were nuts. Some of them were really good. I think overall the mechanic was cool. Like, or not the mechanic, the identity of the musicians and songs were really interesting, but kind of not in terms of power level. They probably could have made him a little stronger. And that's kind of like Festival of Legends' biggest problem, is a lot of the cards kind of just were like, whatever. And then we move to like instrument weapons, right? The weapons in the set are also like really iffy because they're either like really good or really bad. If you go through all of them, like this card was fine, right? This card was fine. This card is great. It's actually one of the best mage cards I've seen in a hot minute. Like this is a pretty good card. This one, is this card even played? I don't think so. What's up, Warshak? We're doing well, man. Happy holidays. This card did see play. This card was good. This card was played. Absolutely nuts. This card is played kind of. This card didn't really see play. This card did end up seeing play. Again, really hit and miss as you keep going. This is a card that I thought for sure would see play because it's not bad, but then we got the weapons from Titans, and then I think this card just exploded. Yeah, it's bad. This card, again, didn't see play because there's no time for you to actually queue up the weapon. This card's insane, but I'm not, I think this card came out in the mini set, right? Its weapons are insane arena. Yeah, I'm not talking about arena. I don't have enough information about arena. Then we got harmonic spells, another really cool idea for a spell, which we've seen before. This is like the Worgens from what's that expansion called? The Witchwood, right? This is like if you guys don't remember what this is, it's stuff like, what the hell, am I stupid here? Hello? It's stuff like this. Wait, no, not this one. There we go. One like this, where it swaps each turn. Again, kind of a really cool idea in theory, but the problem is like some of them are just bad, some of them are good. There's not a lot of like really big outliers here, and that's probably like Festival of Legends' biggest problem is just it's too meh for its power level. It's too meh for its power level. Like rifts are fun, yeah, like, but remember, like they had to be buffed quite a bit, and even after its buff, Warrior was still kind of whatever until Titans came out. Titans was like a big deal for Warrior, as far as I remember. Right? It's been like, if you think, God, it's crazy to think like. When did Titans come out? Titans came out in July, or is it August? It might have been August. I think it's July though. I can't remember. We also got the Stunning Soloist. This type of card was interesting design because I mean the flavor again is on point in this expansion. I love the expansion or the flavor of this expansion. It's cards like this is a good one. If you control no other minions, really good flavor for like what a soloist should be, and some of them again. I'm surprised on some of them. Like I think there was a really good chance that some of them could have saw play. The one that I'm really surprised about is the Warlock one. Like this isn't a bad card, and it kind of fits the vibe, the vibe for the soloist and like the control Warlock archetype. But again, there was just better stuff to do. What was the best deck in Festival of Legends? Does anyone remember? I can't remember for the life of me. I remember Death Knight was pretty good. I'm sure Paladin was good just because of the weapon. I think Paladin was really. Oh, that's what I did the free to play video series. Oh my God, you know, that was crazy shit. Oh, then remember this card? Oh, this is a card. We'll get there after. Anyways, overall for the mechanics and the features itself, I think like Festival of Legends was in terms of flavor a really good mechanic. But remember when I said how the first expansion of the year really sets the tone for the rest of the year? Me personally, and this might be a hot take, but I would have put Titans first. Like if I was thinking just for like player retention and people getting excited for like the future of Hearthstone for the Year of the Wolf, I would have put this expansion first. And I'll get there very shortly why. I'm not saying Festival of Legends is a bad expansion for the record. I don't think it's a bad expansion at all. I think it's like pretty for all throughout Hearthstone's history. Festival of Legends is pretty good, like especially because like in terms of flavor, that's like the real thing I want to show you. Let's just go through some of these cards first and foremost. I'm trying to remember what actually was in this expansion because I know it's been less than a year, but God, I can't remember most of this. Card was nuts. It's actually kind of amazing how like they don't update the cards on this. Like this is a 1/1. This card was cool. The hero power mechanic for Festival of Legends was really interesting. Kind of a big fan of it, and not because I revealed them, but I think they were pretty fun. Like I think adding an additional element to like Druid so it doesn't just do ramp is enjoyable. I think it's a really good time. I really like I talked about earlier, like the Warlock class was really cool here, even though not all of the cards really hit. Like they had a really cool identity. Really like the immune package and taking fatigue. I thought that was super fun. This card ended up sucking, unfortunately, but I thought it was really, really cool. It had a lot of potential. Just kind of sucks. This is a really good card. Like this kind of cements like Festival of Legends in a nutshell. Like audio amplifier, flavor wise, awesome, dude. But was it really playable? Kind of. And that's what Festival of Legends really came down to. That being said, we did introduce a card called Instrument Tech that absolutely broke Wild, right? Absolutely broke it. That card was pretty fucking nuts. This card, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw the short of where I did the top 10 cards of the year. This card's really cool. Like, and the more I think about the flavor and design of this card, the more I really like it. This is probably one of those cards that didn't really strike as really interesting for a lot of people, but it ended up being a card that I think a lot of people can look back in hindsight. Like you're never mad when your opponent plays Photograph or Fizzle, but it also feels pretty good to play it, which I think is like the highest bar a Hearthstone card can go for. Because if they're trying to make a game fun, you want to make it positive fun for like the players. And when you play a card and your opponent doesn't like groan or anything like that, I think that's awesome. Like I think it's really well designed. Speaking of really well designed cards, this is my favorite card of the year by far. I think no Hearthstone card has ever well, at least this year, has ever reached how awesome this design is and how great it feels to play with and against. This is peak Hearthstone design, in my opinion. I fucking love it. I hope to God when this card rotates out of standard, they keep it in, just because it's again, it's a card that, like, I don't think any single person goes like, holy fuck, they just played ETC, this game is trash, right? Because when someone plays ETC, it's like, oh, that's kind of sick. Like, I wonder what they're pulling out of their ETC. Also, flavor on this card is goated. Like, the band manager pulling someone from your band to come in, bro. Insanely well designed card. Insanely well designed card. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Remember this card? I remember when people told me, this is going to be me gloating for a quick second. I remember people telling me that Posek was a bad card because they're like, oh, why would you ever want to play something like this? Remember when it got nerfed, chat? Remember when it was too good? Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I'm here for that. Now, don't remind me of all the times I got shit wrong. But this card's ended up being pretty good. I'm trying to remember what else was really interesting this set. This card ended up being cool. You know, it really stings me, man, that they have the old version of Tony on the screen. But this is my favorite card of the year until they changed it. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. They really murdered my boy. He's no longer nearly as cool anymore. The most useless thing I own is in the set. Yeah, I think Tony, like, this design of Tony was not great for the game because it really limits design. This is a card that kind of puts a lot of cards into, like, if we print this card, Tony's going to be fucking annoying to play against. And I understand why they killed it or they changed it. I'm still sour about it, though. I'm going to be real with you. I kind of miss it. I miss it a lot. Oh, I miss it so much. And it was so cool. Oh, anyways, without going too much into Festival of Legends, I think it's fair to say Festival of Legends was a good expansion. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was the most powerful. I don't think it was the best expansion I've ever played. But in terms of what it was and what it was going for and something that's so out of the box for Hearthstone, I think they did a pretty good job. But my biggest complaint about Festival of Legends is it shouldn't have been first. I would have put Titans first. And let me explain why. Let me actually do this real fast. So Titans introduced, what's the name of the mechanic they introduced in Titans? I can't remember. Was it Big Gods? Powerful beings shape your board? Oh, no, it was Titans. No, they introduced Titan. That's what they introduced to the game. Titans was a really fucking good keyword. Really good keyword. And I think personally, Titans should have been there right at the start of the Hearthstone year because kind of like how Ungoro introduced quests, which was a really good time in Hearthstone, Titans could have been the exact same thing. And I personally think Titans would have shined a lot more with it being the first expansion because one card I didn't actually talk about from Festival of Legends is this card. This card being added to the game kind of really limited what Titans were playable because your Titan had to do something pretty powerful immediately. Otherwise, this card just said, fuck your Titan. I'm going to take it. You're going to cry yourself to sleep tonight. Would there be some balance changes that they would have to do? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think like if they put Titans first, I think a lot more people would have been excited for the year just because the introduction of like a brand new keyword is insane. I think every Titan saw play, right? If I remember correctly, again, I could be wrong. I could be very wrong here, but I'm pretty sure almost every Titan saw play, if not all of them. I don't remember all the Titans though. Hold on. I gotta look. Rarity, legendary. Okay. You saw play, but you're not a Titan. Give me the Titans, baby. Give me the Titans. Okay. I could just type in Titan. I just realized that. I forgot it as the keyword. I was just talking about it. Okay. Saw play, sees play. I wouldn't say it's goated or anything, but it's tested. It's not like the worst thing in the world. Norganon, I mean, if you want to be spicy with it, you definitely could put it in. I mean, it's not it's not a bad card. It's just not like insane. Great, crazy good card for Control Priest. Pretty good card for Paladin. This card is actually like one of those cards that I think, I hope they do more design like this. I think that your minions can't take more than 2 damage at a time is really interesting. Then we have Argus, which again, I think Argus would have benefited a lot if it was from the first expansion, just because the keywords that it generates would have been a lot better. The Primus obviously saw play. Sargeras. I think this is the one that they would have to change slightly if they release Titans first. But overall, like This is the old Yogg, but I think it's pretty safe to say like every single Titan saw some kind of play, which is kind of nice. I think it's really cool to have an expansion in a keyword where like their main reason to play it is all being played. And I'm sure they could have buffed some cards if they absolutely need to or nerfed it, but I'm a huge fan of Titan. And I feel like looking back at this year, Titans has been a really good inclusion to Hearthstone. And also, we're talking about probably one of the most interesting keywords ever, because what a lot of people, including me, Voltron, what the hell is his name? Where is that guy? Does he not have Titan? Wait, does he not have the word? Huh? Is he not here? Oh, it's because he's spelled like bruh. Come on, Hearthstone. Come on, Hearthstone. I feel like, okay, this is off topic, slightly off topic, but I feel like if you write Titan just for like user interface, like they could just, I don't know, fucking put it. Okay, anyways. And so then they had Forge. A lot of people probably thought Forge was going to be a pretty bad mechanic, me included, right? Why would I want to spend 2 mana when spending 2 mana on a hero power feels awful? But then I think a lot of us probably realize now that Forge has been a pretty great mechanic. And I think it's just, you know, partially because the cards that they gave Forge to are actually pretty great. Also, there's Ignis, which we'll get to later, because he's one of my like problems with this expansion. But I think we could all agree that Forge is a pretty great mechanic. And I am hoping to God, that they don't just leave this keyword in fucking Titans. Please continue using this one, because it's cool. It's cool to have a card that you can make up, or you can make it better just by spending 2 mana, right? And I feel like everyone really likes this expansion, really likes this keyword. I don't think there's a single person that says fuck Forge. Although, Rarran, I got a little question for you. What's your favorite class? Also, what do you think about Warlock right now? My favorite class is Warlock. I think isn't Warlock bad right now? I have no idea. Anyways, I really like the Forge mechanic. I think Forge mechanic is good. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the one thing I really don't like about Titans is that they brought back Magnetic. I feel like they could have done something a little better. Like, you know, bringing in an old key. I get there's mechs and stuff, but I don't think anyone was like, yes, dude, Magnetic's back, baby. I don't think anyone was saying that. Most of the time, Magnetic feels kind of meh to play against. I guess as you play with it, like the rogue deck was disgusting, right? The rogue, if you were there at the start of Titans, the rogue deck was really good. I am not personally a huge fan of the Magnetic. I think Ziliax is like the highest point we can really get with Magnetic, and there's some cool like interactions with it. I'm not a huge fan of it. We also got the legendary keepers. Now, surprisingly, a lot of these cards were almost playable to being really good. I'm going to say something. This might be very controversial here. This is one of the coolest cards we've seen in a very hot minute. I'm just going to put it out there. I fucking love when they break the game that we're used to. Like, this is a dope ass card and it feels so good to play with. I mean, losing the game never feels great. So there's going to be someone who goes, I hate this card. But I think for what Warrior wants to be, this is the card, dude. Imagine if they released this in the first expansion of the year. Oh my God, we would have been cooking all year round. But again, really fucking sick card. Cyber Lexi, thank you for the sub. Big appreciation for that. Thank you so much. I love this card. I think it's really, really cool. And then it's funny looking at that card and being like, oh, what did Hunter get? Oh man, that's tough. It's unfortunate. I'm trying to think of like what else. This card's got a little bit better. I mean, Sif's my girl, dude, so that's pretty sick. This card doesn't really see play. Yeah, kind of, you know, like again, Titans definitely increased the power level quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of this card right now. You know what, dude? I'm also gonna say this. Like, this is weird to me. I hate playing against Plague Death Knight. Every time I play against it, I'm like, it's not that I think it's overpowered or anything. It's just I don't know it's so boring to play against, because all they do is remove your shit and then you draw more plagues, and it's like, okay, bro, like I don't want to do this. I will talk about this. Ignis is a card that I think is really interesting in design because it encourages you to want to forge, which is great. I really like the fact that like the main mechanic has a really good support card, but I don't know about you guys. I would get rid of this keyword off the weapon and make every other part of the weapon just a little bit stronger, right? Like maybe you make it so The death rattle procs after you swing. I don't know, something like that. It just like, I feel like the different, like now that we play this card with a lot, like I feel like the difference between getting Wind Fury and not getting Wind Fury is so fucking ginormous. It makes me want to like scream when I don't get it, because it just feels awful. Like you just know that your power level just significantly drops, and that's not great for anybody, bro. Like you want to play the game and you want to have fun with the game, and like when you don't get the high, anyways, I just feel like it's night and day difference when you don't get the Wind Fury aspect of it. But I think it's a really, really cool card. In terms of flavor, I don't know anything about, I think this is Uldawar. Is that where it's from? I don't know anything about it. So I'm going to need the World of Warcraft experts in chat to let me know if they did a good job with this expansion, because I don't fucking know anything. I will say, by the way, the man on the screen right here, I talked about how Leo did he was the set lead for Festival of Legends. I like Leo a lot. I think he's a very swell man. I loved hanging out with that BlizzCon. I don't really know this man. His name was Alex, but I did get to know him at BlizzCon. I actually hung out with him quite a bit. He's a very fucking nice guy. Not canon at all. Okay, great. Alex is awesome. Fucking awesome, dude. And this is, I think, his first set lead as well. So it's cool that they gave everybody like a chance to really shine here, because Showdown in the Badlands was from Gallon, which is really cool. But you know what, man? I think Titans was a pretty good expansion as well. It kind of blows my mind of how cool this expansion is. Now, the metagame is where we get really interesting here, because I feel like the metagame was kind of fucking bonkers, but maybe that's because Festival of Legends was so weak compared to Titans. But I feel like Titans really added some fucking spice to the game that it desperately needed. Like I feel like looking back at Festival of Legends comparatively, that's why I think, me personally, I would have put Titans first. Like I would have dropped a banger on this expansion. I would have dropped the banger right at the start of the year. But it's obviously, in hindsight, they didn't know how good this expansion was going to be. I guess maybe they did. They had a really, really good idea. So I would put Titans first. I think it's a really good year. That's my thesis of this year. But overall, like I think Titans was pretty good. Looking at the cards, let's go take a little peek here, shall we? Let's see what's popping. Let's see what we got. We don't need legendaries here. What do we got? We got robot boys that get bigger. Oh, this fucking card, bro. God, I hate this fucking card. Twiggy, thanks for the sub, dude. Ruru is the goat. I appreciate it. Thank you, man. We had the nature shaman. Okay, hold on. I might take this back. Oh, God, fucking nature shaman. We had Mekrug at the start. Mekrug really sucked. So after they nerfed it, the expansion got a lot better. Some really good cards in here. Like I love this card, dude. I love this card. Anomalies. Yeah. How did you guys feel about anomalies? You know, I feel like I feel like everything outside of the competitive game, I feel like anomalies were pretty fun. I'm actually kind of a huge fan of them. Like, I think they added I'm someone who is completely on the realm that like, I'd like when they change the formula up. So like, I would really appreciate them doing some stuff like this. Not all the anomalies were great, but I feel like the idea of the concept, the theory was really cool. Like I really, really liked it. I hope they do more stuff like this. I hope they don't shy away from doing more anomalies. I feel like it was a pretty good time. They should have kept them despite Reddit going berserk. Kate, here's a question for you guys. Do you guys really think that like Reddit has enough pull for them to make decisions? Like, do you guys think they browse r/Hearthstone? Like, as if they do, I'm going to start posting there and start saying some shit. I'm going to make a case for reverting Tony. I'm going to make a case for reverting Tony. And I need all of you guys to upvote that shit as high as possible so I can use my boy once again. Okay, anyways, let's be a little bit more serious here. Also, absolutely huge fan of this card. I remember we all saw this card and said, God, this card sucks ass. But then it kind of got a lot better. And I think this card is one of the most fun cards to play with and against, because it really reminds me of Yogg. It really does. I can't believe 4 spells at a time can be so impactful and do so little at the exact same time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Clip for vote manipulation. Yo, Pinkward, if I get banned off Reddit, it's not bad, dude. It's probably good for me. So I'll take it. F that card. You must hate fucking Yogg. You must hate him. I've had basically, like, when it comes down to this card right here, I have had more fun moments with this card than a lot of other cards previously. This is just a fun card, and I feel like this is just the perfect amount of RNG that really gets me going. Like it gives me that dopamine hit every single time that makes my like goblin hand want to click more cards. So I'm here for it. I'm completely here for it. I think that this card is awesome. I'm really glad they haven't nerfed it yet. And I'm a huge, ginormous fan. Honestly, looking back at this expansion, this is a really good expansion. I liked it a lot. And it's hard to like really poke holes in it other than like Matt Krog at the start. I'm a big fan. You know what? I'll give this expansion like an 8 out of 10. I think this is a good expansion. This is a great expansion. I'm not sure how a lot of you guys feel, but I think like looking back on it and looking at the cards that were introduced in the metagame, like I had fun with this expansion. I just think that Odin is so fucking sick. I will say this though. The Warlock deck that used Forge of Wills and cheated out Thaddeus, fucking blow me, dude. Blow me. Fucking blow me. I think that design is horrific, but that's a Thaddeus problem more than anything else. You know what I mean? All my homies hate Thaddeus, if I'm going to be honest. Yo, Warshak, this is a prime, my guy. Warshak, I'm actually going to message you soon. I have, I'm making a creator tournament with the cool Poggers idea, but I'm not telling anyone what it is. How is Prison of Yogg fun? Yeah, it can win you games, but the victories never felt good for me. Okay, let's just imagine a world where like we're different people and we like different things. You know, like I think it's fun. I think hitting a button and watching RNG fly is awesome. Okay, anyways, let's lead this to our last expansion, Showdown in the Badlands. Showdown in the Bad. Oh, I gotta talk about one thing with this expansion, actually. The trailer sucked ass. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I don't know what the fuck they were doing with this nonsense. What the hell is this? Did they? I don't know what happened. Did they lose the budget? Did anyone know? No idea. But this was like the most un-Hearthstone expansion. If they fucking gave a shit for this one, I don't know what the fuck where they were smoking on that one, bro. Anyways, let's go to the Showdown in the Badlands. Now, I gotta be fully transparent here, chat. I'm gonna be fully transparent here. I gotta tell you guys a little story. I thought this expansion was gonna suck, but I thought it was gonna suck because they showed the neutrals first, which I think is a really good idea. But those neutrals looked like hot dog. They looked like hot dog. Like, and I can get those at Costco. So why would I want to put them in Showdown in the Badlands? You know what I mean? Skull, what's up, dude? Yes, you don't look very transparent. I can still see. Okay, Skull, shut the hell up. Thanks for the prime stuff, though, bro. I appreciate it. Skull, I actually might need you for something else as well. That reminds me. So they look kind of ass, and I remember going to BlizzCon and talking to Gallon. Also, if you didn't know, Gallon did this one, which was really cool. So that means every expansion this year they gave to kind of one of the newer people of Hearthstone. So Leo did this one, Alex did this one, and Gallon did this one. All of them, by the way, in person, phenomenal people. They're awesome people. And as much as I'm not fully on board with how they're handling Hearthstone, like I wish they would do different stuff, I think the people who are designing the cards, for the most part, okay, I should say that a little bit different. I think the people who are designing the cards are awesome. Is every card good? I mean, I'm not going to mention some Thaddeus. I'm not going to mention some mana cheating. But let's be real here. If I compare this year to this year, I would marry this year comparatively, right? So I'm really happy with the team over here. So let's be real here. Okay, Showdown in the Badlands. Here's another hot take for you. I think this would have been also a really good expansion to put number one because the Highlander. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Highlander is kind of cheating. Highlander is this like this keyword that if you put it in, people are going to be like, oh, I'm trying this expansion out for sure. And that kind of proves my point, by the way, that like the best thing about Hearthstone is when they break the mold. Like we don't need combo decks every expansion. We don't need like decks that just play minions. Like having deck building exercises and changing the formula of the game, I think really adds to what makes Hearthstone fun. Highlander, I think people really liked. We could talk about Reno all you guys really want, but I mean, Reno's not that bad. I think the more I play with them, or the player against them, I'm like, whatever. I think it's really cool. And I'm actually really excited to see how Highlander looks for the next expansion. Because like after the rotation of Festival of Legends, after the rotation of these three expansions, this shit's gonna go hard. Or not hard. They're gonna be like better. I think the Paladin one's gonna really shine. But that's before I even know what the next expansion is. I also want to put a little before I continue with Showdown in the Badlands. Can we just talk about how this fucking card right here? Wait, this made this on it. Where I had did I have one that was okay? I'll just go fuck myself. Hold on. Can we just talk about real fast how this card is literally the greatest thing they've added to Hearthstone in the hottest minute. And it's almost like I've been saying this entire time, by the way, that changing the formula of Hearthstone is what makes Hearthstone fun. So Hearthstone team, I don't even know if they watch my videos, but if you made it this far into this video, could we make more cards like this, please? Also, when this card rotates, could you either nerf it fully or keep it in the game? Because I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss this card more than I'm going to miss any other card in existence. Like, this card's bomb. Okay, this card is so fucking cool. Like, so cool. So I really, really hope they do something close to this, or they make something like, I don't know, like it. Now, I hope they don't do your deck size is 20 and you start at 20 life, because that would be a little spooky. But big fan of the card. Anyways, back to Showdown of the Badlands. So Showdown of the Badlands had quick draw, and this is nice because we're playing through this expansion right now. I don't know if I like quick draw as a mechanic. I'm gonna be weird. I thought, like, in my mind, I thought quick draw was like a pretty good mechanic before playing with it, because I was like, oh, it's really in flavor with the expansion. But like, playing with it doesn't feel nearly as good as it does compared to the other people. Now, or the other keywords. Now, they have done some really good cards with quick draw, which we'll get to later. Like, I think a really good example of this, someone mentioned in chat, but I was going to talk about it when we got here, is this card. Like, I think this is a really good design for it, because it fits so in flavor, right? You quick draw the bitch, you have a firearm, like, and you keep going. Like, I think I love the idea. Like, the concept is so cool. Like, I'm there for it. Like, every single time I play, I'm like, oh shit, like, here we go again, right? But just in general, like the cards themselves, I haven't really seen a lot of people be playing quick draw, and that kind of sucks. But they really made up for it. All right. I don't know about you guys. Excavating has ended up being my favorite thing this entire year. I fucking love digging. I don't know what it is, dude, but my God, it is so fun to excavate. I think this mechanic is so blessed, and it's so good. It's so fun. Like, I every time someone excavates, I'm like, this is the dream, right? Because it feels good to play against. It feels good to lose to. Sometimes, right? Sometimes RNG just kind of fucks you. But my God, when you excavate with the Kobold, or when you have the rogue weapon as the 1-3 weapon, and you're just smacking, oh my God, it's goated. All of the legendary treasures for excavating feel pretty great. I know the rogue one is like whatever, but God, I've actually been playing a lot of the rogue deck off stream, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Like, it's a good time. It's a good time. So I'm a huge fan of it. I think this is a really great mechanic, and it's so in flavor with the expansion that they did that I'm an absolute huge fan. Now, what the fuck is a sketchy town folk? Get tired of digging deeper. Townsfolk is an extra X8 synergy. Oh, I see. Okay, so that's just like it just adds to it. It's kind of funny that they put that there, and then they have the heroic outlaws. But yeah, I also think the trailer is pretty good, right? I didn't like it at the start. I thought it was whatever, but as I watched it more and more, I'm like, damn. We have to point out, by the way, the best thing about this expansion by a fucking mile, and I'll show you guys it right here. Bro, whoever decided to put the mustache on the bandana deserves 5 raises, incrementing his income by millions. All right, millions, because this is the type of design where I play Hearthstone for, bro. This is it. This shit is so awesome. I love this so much. I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's such a good flavor hit for what Reno is as a character. Now let's talk about some of the cards here, because I think Showdown's been pretty good for overall. It's tough because we're in Showdowns right now, so I haven't really had the time to process how good Showdowns was, because we haven't moved past the expansion. But you know, you go through these cards, and after the buff they did recently, I think the situation or the metagame is pretty good for what the game is. Now, that being said, this is my most hated card of the year. Most hated card of the year. If I had to put public enemy number 1, in my opinion, this fucking card. I think it should be illegal for you to die from 30 health to a Demon Hunter on turn 6. I don't know about you guys. I think that's a little fucked up. Like, it's happened to me more than once, which is very concerning. I think this card, they should move it over somewhere else. Now I feel like it's not as bad because you just don't see it as often, but my God, I think it's fine. Sif is worse. I'm going to tell you why Sif is not. Can we get, well, let's have a little discussion here because you brought that up. Here's the thing about Sif, and this is how I truly believe combo decks should be. Combo decks should be something that you build towards that the enemy can keep track of so they understand when the combo is. You understand what I mean? Like, it takes time. Like, it's not like turn 7 Sif is ready to go and you're getting ass blasted. Maybe in like very niche circumstances. But the concept of building towards a combo is, in my mind, what a combo deck should be, right? It shouldn't be. Oh, it's 3 mana. I was just thinking on turn 6. It shouldn't be, I drew this card and now you lost. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. I think it's very safe to say you don't like Sif because when you lose to Sif, like, when does losing feel good ever? But you can't tell me that Sharpshooter and Sif are on the same level. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, I feel like this card, just purely from a design standpoint, I think it's fucking miserable. But everything else in this expansion, damn son, pretty fucking good. Let's be real. The best fucking voice line of all of them. Keep on panning. I hope to God when this card is played, chat, you say it with you or with the panner, because it's music to my ears. It's my favorite thing to listen to. I fucking love it. Keep on panning. It's in my mind forever. I'm gonna remember that till the day I die. My doctor's gonna be like, yo, you got 5 minutes left to live. Do you want to see your family? What are you going to say? What's your last words? And I'd gonna just be like, keep on paying. Like, you know what I mean? There's one other card I wanted to talk about that I think is like kind of like a little bit of cringe, but I think looking back at this expansion, I think they did a pretty good job. It's a good expansion, man. I think like the Warlock, I mean, this card I think it probably deserves to be spoken about because I can't believe they released it in the state I remember, bro, you guys were there when I reviewed the Warlock cards. If we saw this and I'm like, this is broken, and I think a lot of people realized it was broken. This was a stupid one. Like this shouldn't have gone past balancing. There's a couple of cards in this expansion that I think they can buff even more. But like this card, I think this card can like I was shitting on this card when it was like the pre-release card, but I thought it was mainly boring. Keep on painting, but you keep forgetting. What did he say? He's right. Cards like Sharpshooter are degen and bad for the game. Amen. I can be a designer for this game. Also, this card's ridiculous. They need to change this card. It's tough giving like a full review of Showdown in the Badlands because it's just been some time, but I think for the expansion, like this is probably the most fun I've had in Hearthstone for the hot minute. And I think that's mainly just because of excavating. Highlander's fun to play against. This is what I want to talk about. This is my other favorite card of the year. I think this card's fucking awesome, dude. There is something so goddamn satisfying about summoning these ogre boys over and over and over again. It's something that, again, the dopamine hits make me want to keep playing Hearthstone. And it's kind of interesting that it's not a great card, but it's playable. And I think that's a great way of having this design. You guys can talk about Reno all you want. I think Reno's fine for the game. I don't think it's been a nuisance. I think Reno's been okay. I don't know why he's like this on the screen though. Isn't that weird? Imagine being brand new to Hearthstone. You're going through the library like, oh, what is this? You have no idea. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, I think Showdown in the Badlands is a pretty good expansion. I think I think a lot of people are enjoying it. Of course, there's some things that everyone's going to hate losing to, but I think they've done a pretty great job. I think the problem with this expansion right now is this card. Like, this is a card that I think just, like, I don't know why they made this card. And this is the older version. Like, this card was a problem. So basically, like, it's funny how every single year, it's funny that every single year is the same problem. Mana cheating at a high level is just, it shouldn't be in the game. It shouldn't be in the game. I wonder how good this expansion would be without this, because without this card fucking railing you 2 million times a day, you have excavating, you have Highlander, you have aggro decks, you have everything. Like, this could be so good. Could be so good. Anyways, I think overall, like Showdown of the Badlands probably needs a little bit more time, but I think overall it's a pretty good year of Hearthstone. And I think it's very hard to like look at this year and be like, this year sucked. And this is like this is my note here, chat. This is my note. I think a lot of people will tell me that Hearthstone's gotten worse. Like the game is dying, whatever. But like these past 2 years in terms of Hearthstone have been very good. Been very good. This year sucked. This year, Tech W. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? And you could go back and like, it's funny, like people will remember like how fun Goblins and Gnomes was. I'm like, yeah, it was a good time in expansion. It was a good time when this expansion came out. But I mean, if you haven't played Hearthstone in a while, like this is a good time to be a Hearthstone player. Like they haven't lost any of their animations, the feeling it provides. It's great. That's great. It's a good year of Hearthstone. Do you think it was better than the previous one? They're both bad in their own way. We'll just put it like that. I think the only real thing about this card is that it stopped at 1, right? The other one you can go below. Okay.